welcome back. We are in a whole new season. This season is going to be all about breeder's choice, keeper's choice. We're going to be talking about different species, preferences between breeders and keepers. And we're going to be having some special guests this month. So, Haley is not here. I'm going to call her out a little bit. She's late. She will be late to her own funeral. I'm going to die on this hill. So today I'm really excited because we do have a guest, Paul from Reptile Adventures. What's up, Paul?
Hey,
How's it going? And
good, good.
we've kind of corresponded a little bit um, over the last month or so about Jungle Jam, but this is the first time I've ever actually met you.
Yeah,
Um, I
was.
guess this is kind of face to face, so it's nice to finally meet the face behind, the organization.
Yeah,
Um,
likewise.
but I would like to pick your brain a little bit because, you and I do kind of similar things with like education and stuff like that. So
hmm
I really want to get into what's special about your organization, why you chose this career path and what you're passionate about, etc. So I'm very excited for that. So if you want to just do a brief introduction for like my viewers, because a lot of them are people who are going to be seeing you at Jungle Jam and
Okay.
just what you're about and what you do. So I'm going to give you the floor.
All right, all right. Thank you so much for having me on. Yeah, so obviously a reptile enthusiast, really all animals my whole life. Since I was a kid and became, specifically interested in reptiles along the way, and maybe because they're more misunderstood, kind of wanted to stand up for them, show people that they're not scary. But yeah, just always been into those. Didn't know what it was going to look like as a kid growing up. All we really knew was like, I guess I'll be a herpetologist or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, a lot of school there, and ended up actually touring with a band. Music is also part of our thing, so that's why you have
Heck
the
yeah.
yeah, the treble clef as part of the symbol there.
Heck yeah.
Because music was actually supposed to be part of the business, kind of in the very beginning. We were gonna um, we are gonna make reptile themed guitars and stuff. But so that
Oh,
we
that's
started.
pretty awesome.
Yeah, it was a cool idea. We kind of started
Yeah.
with that idea, but then the reptiles and the care for reptiles takes so much time. I was like, I don't have time
Yes.
to like sit here building guitars on top
Sure.
of that. So I was like, I'll keep that as an idea for maybe later. But yeah, started as a hobby, wanting to support my own hobby of reptiles, and it kind of just took off with Paul's Cool Scales, the
Yeah.
selling, the selling end of what we do. So we do online morph market, sell reptiles and go to some expos to sell, and that really took off. So we started that full time in 2021. We launched
Heck
out.
yeah. So
Um,
Paul, you actually breed reptiles as well?
Yeah, we do some breeding and we do
Heck
some,
yeah.
we work with some awesome breeders for other species that we don't breed ourselves. So we will, be the front end of some of the breeders that, don't
Yeah,
necessarily have an
for
online
sure.
account and don't want to mess with the people. So they'll
Yeah.
just wholesale me some awesome babies and stuff.
Heck yeah.
So yeah, and then met a guy, started doing events on the side because I was like, well, I already own these animals. I can do some little birthday parties and stuff and make some other extra money.
Hmm.
And then that blew up.
As
and
it does. Yeah.
so that's the Reptile Adventures. We're kind of a two-part business.
Yeah.
Reptile Adventures is that side. And that's kind of been more of the focus the past couple years, doing that. And that's where, we kind of connected there. But yeah, just doing I mean, it's to me, it's a pretty simple concept. Just taking reptiles to different events. We created a little presentation, a little show we do, but it
Which
doesn't.
we're so excited to see that, by the way. Because my area, it's like it's really small, and reptiles has never been a thing until
Oh,
FGS took off, and like so everyone's used to our presentations, but I'm like, this is going to be so cool to introduce somebody new, which you do travel kind of to my area.
yeah, yeah. We go all
Yes.
around. Uh huh.
Yeah, so I can hook you up with some people who are looking for birthday parties and stuff like that, because we've kind of taken a back seat. But I love that you do
Okay.
that. It's so cool. It's
Yeah,
so
yeah.
cool.
So much fun. Super cool. I mean, just we're always amazed and kind of humbled that we get to do this, and
Yeah,
people just keep. We get inquiries almost every day.
yeah,
Just people wanting to book us, and it's like, wow. kind of amazing. So it's almost surreal, and so we're just along for the ride, and just gonna keep going, and yeah, see people's minds and perceptions continually changed about reptiles,
Yeah.
and
Which
see
is
it.
like end game. Because if
Yeah,
you can change people's minds, you've won. Like
yeah.
that's it.
There's so much, yeah,
Yeah,
there, and you never know who you're inspiring in the next generation, the kids and stuff, and
for sure.
it's yeah, it's just amazing when you think about the big picture of it.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
So
Because there's so much to it, and people don't realize, just how intriguing these animals are. And I think that the more people who are like us, who are putting ourselves out there, and not in
mhm,
a sense like there are some, I don't even want to call them educators, but there are some people who are kind of in this who kind of use like the fear of people to get
mm,
famous.
mm,
And those kinds of people bother me because it's like you're really
yeah,
putting you're misconstruing the real essence of these animals and why they're so
yeah, yeah, for sure.
sorry about that. I'm going to put
Oh,
my phone on do not disturb here
okay.
because
Yeah, I was like,
I
wow.
am going to be getting phone calls. Oh,
Yeah, same here. I should
let's
probably do that myself.
see. Do not
Uh,
disturb. Sorry about that. Oh,
yeah,
okay.
doing that
Hold
as
on
well.
1 second. There we go. um,
All good.
yeah. So anyway, so I have a few questions for you. If it's okay, we
Okay.
can kind of get into some things.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
so we kind of went over it briefly at the beginning, but why reptiles and how long have you been working with these animals?
Um, yeah, I'll never forget. Like I said, loved all animals. Since I was a kid, I had a lot of stuffed animals for toys, and just loved critters. And I remember we moved to our first house when I was, I think, 7 years old, finding in Wisconsin, of all places, a pair of baby garter snakes, and I was fascinated at that moment. Never forget. And we had kind of a country home, so I was outside all the time, just catching little frogs and turtles and whatever I could find.
Yeah, for
Um,
sure.
it was just my childhood. Just and then we moved to Texas when I was like 12, and tons of reptiles there in the Houston area. And then it really opened up. We had 6 acres there and a pond, and so many animals, reptiles, and it was just my childhood hobby, just going around, catching stuff and learning about them, keeping them for a while, and then feeding them, setting them free, whatever.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so I mean, as far back as I can remember, about 7 years old, really my first encounter, I guess, with reptiles in the wild, and then had a few, like I think we all, as reptile keepers, had an iguana as a pet.
Yep.
I held,
They
had
were
a
so
couple,
they were so accessible
yeah,
back in the day. And they were
yeah,
so pushed. Like this is such an easy animal. It's like, mine's like this big now
yeah,
and he free roams my house, but no one tells you like,
yeah.
you know,
Now that I know a lot about them, like, oh my god,
yeah,
I can't believe they let him
for
just.
sure. Well, we had a fair here recently where they were giving them away as prizes if you won the darts.
Oh my
They
goodness.
were just giving away iguanas, baby iguanas. I couldn't believe it. I was like, oh, see, this is why we do what we do. So,
Yeah.
oh, I
Yeah.
see Haley. I think I see Haley commenting.
Okay.
I can't read that far away, but I'm sure she's saying that she's late. We know you're late. So obviously curiosity is what started it for you.
Yeah.
And when
Yeah.
did curiosity kind of merge into this passion that you have now?
Well, as you get, as you're getting older, you start to think, what do I want to do for a career? I was kind of into art, and then a little bit of music was kind of later on, but I was like, I'm gonna do something with art or something with animals. I didn't know what.
Yeah.
So I went through high school, kind of just got into being, social and all that, and just kind of thought I kind of grew out of it. So yeah, then out of high school, you know, was playing with a band, and we ended up touring for a few years full time.
Oh
And
wow.
so I was like, I guess this is what I'm gonna do. And then that kind of dissolved over time, and I was like, all right, just started working different jobs. Um, Nothing like career really.
Nothing stuck. Yeah.
Yeah, and I was just always like, there's always something itching inside me. And then I married a zookeeper, when in 2018.
Right
And
on.
she bought me a snake for our first Christmas, and we still have them. And that snake turned into 10 snakes.
Yep.
And then I was like, okay, that passion's never left. And yeah, then again, like I said, I had to start supporting my own hobby.
Yeah.
So I was like, all right, I guess I started doing some expos to sell some stuff, and that, like I said, that took off more than I
Yeah.
realized. Um, Sorry about the bus in the background here.
Oh no, you're fine. I hear you perfectly clear.
Good, good. Yeah. So that took off, and that's kind of where we ended up. So the passion just kind of,
Kept growing.
yeah, I thought I grew out of it, and then realized I did not. Just needed to
It feels like
reawaken it.
fate kind of, all the other things that you kind of went through led you to where you could actually do this full time and be present in it, and maybe you needed the other stuff to kind of get you here, but feels
Yeah,
like fate
yeah,
kind of brought you back to this place, because
yeah,
I do believe that um you know I do believe that we have a purpose, and like some of
yeah,
us, our purpose is just animals.
yeah,
And those of us who have a purpose with animals, it never really goes away. And I think it does start when you're really young, because that it's just in you. It's naturally in you. I remember being little too, and like playing with critters and worms and bugs, and
yeah,
of course I'm a girl, so being a second grade girl and like picking up worms and stuff, the other girls were like, ah.
yeah,
So
yeah,
it was a little bit harder for me to make friends and like do that kind of stuff, but I do feel like it is just something that's put in us from a young age, and
hmm
then we're just propelled into this like lifestyle of like animals almost find you.
hmm hmm
And so
yeah.
I think it's pretty cool that you kind of found, your passion, and you're doing what you're doing. So, with that being said, like what is your favorite animal to work with?
Oh
If
my
you had to
goodness.
pick one animal that you just absolutely can't wait to show people and teach people about and handle.
Yeah, I get that question a lot, especially with what's your favorite reptile? I'm like,
It's
uh.
loaded. It's a loaded question. But
So
it
there's
doesn't
some,
even have to be like favorite reptile. It could be like your favorite of your pets that just has that personality, or that just, you know what I
yeah,
mean? Just one of your top favorite ones you've got.
yeah. So Paul's Cool Scales started, and I think part of the reason we took off is we focused on selling uncommon reptiles, rare ones that you don't
Yeah.
really know about, people don't hear about. I was like, I'll just sell, the weird stuff because I liked, the more uncommon. I mean,
Yeah.
for some people, any reptiles,
Uncommon.
different,
Yeah.
but
But I know what you mean. Outside of ball pythons,
yeah,
iguanas, and leopard geckos.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So I was, made some connections with a lot of just, underground breeders that just work
Yeah.
with, really different stuff. And I'm like, all right, I'll sell that stuff. I remember some other vendors were like, but nobody's gonna buy it because nobody knows what it is. And I was like, well, I'll be the only one. And
Yeah.
so yeah, it really took off. So with that, we have this about a 10-foot uh, Asian rat snake. It's called a greater keeled rat snake. His name is Jericho, and he's probably one of my favorites. Just um, again, like as a longtime keeper, you kind of
Yeah.
like a challenge. So he's not definitely not a ball python that you can just sit on your lap and he'll
For
stay
sure.
there.
Yeah.
He's very active, huge
Yeah.
eyes, very very visual and
Yeah.
very reactive. So he's not gonna.
As colubrids often are.
I love big colubrids in general. So
Yeah.
that's kind of my
Oh
personal.
yeah.
So
We have
hi.
a we have a yellow-tailed Crebo here,
Oh,
so
nice, nice.
yeah, he's kind of a wild one. So Haley's joined us. If you guys didn't know, Haley, Paul, Haley. Hi. My gosh. Well, she's got her caffeine for the day. So
Uh,
it is an Asian rat snake.
yeah.
Will you be bringing that in May?
I can. Yeah.
You
I don't.
can.
Yeah. For special
Hey, I
requests, I
can
definitely
always I can always bring you my Crebo to play
can.
with.
Okay. Yeah.
If you want, I don't care. He bites, but
I
he's
love
not
it.
nice.
I
He
love it.
bites. He does all right. I've taken him to a couple shows and he does all right. But occasionally, you know how colubrids are. He'll get that itch and he'll just,
Yeah.
for no reason, he'll just reach you. You can
Yeah.
kind of tell when they're going to because they kind of like do this thing with their, you know what
Yeah.
I'm talking about.
Yeah. Yeah.
Grind their snoot on your skin.
Yeah, they do. So that's pretty cool. So it's are colubrids, would you say, probably your favorite
Yeah. Yeah.
family, I guess?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Sounds
mine
good. Yeah.
too.
Okay. Cool. Cool.
Yeah, mine
Then
too.
I'll bring a several then.
I
Um.
love it. I love them. We've had several corn snakes. I love king snakes because
Yeah.
they're just wild. So I have two king snakes. But I like the way they look. I think they look very prehistoric.
Hmm. Hmm.
And I do think they have very like interesting, cute faces.
They do.
Haley likes the ball python face
Yeah.
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
because they're like cute. But I just think colubrids are so cute. I don't know why.
I do, but I'm a python girl.
So, Paul, on that subject, do you have a fan favorite? Like, do you notice when you go to shows that there's something in particular that your audience prefers more than others, or is it kind of just whatever you're bringing people are excited about?
Yeah. Her name is Cruella.
Mm-hmm.
Um. She is a reticulated python. She's the cow morph.
Yeah,
So she is white with bunch of blacks,
beautiful.
blotches, and yeah, she's gorgeous. She's pushing about probably 10 feet now,
Yeah,
nine or
we've
ten
seen
feet.
Cruella
Okay.
because we kind of have been just when we invited you to Jungle Jam, we were like, "Oh, this is awesome." Somebody else is educating and because I'm renovating a house. I'm a mom of two. I have my
Yeah.
kids all the time. So it's hard for me. Like that
Yeah.
birthday party I kind of like I had you
Oh
I don't
yeah.
know
Yeah.
if you did it on the 30th
Yeah.
of March.
Yeah. It was great. Uh huh.
So I have so many people reaching out to us all the time, and it's nice to have somebody I can be like, "Hey, are you available these days?" Because we just can't do it all,
Yeah.
And so, and we've not taken a back seat, but we're doing the podcast, and we're doing this podcast and another podcast, and so
Okay.
we've slowed down. It's
Yeah.
hard work. We opened a
Yeah.
facility, and it was hard.
Okay.
It was hard to keep the doors open because we don't breed or sell, so we were just relying on
Oh man.
our presentations and donors and whatnot.
Yeah. Yeah.
So when we saw you, we were like, "Oh, this is awesome! Like,
Mm-hmm.
this is a great connection for us because you're close."
Yeah.
And there are some others, and I'm not throwing shade at anybody, but we really pay attention to what people say when they're
Mm.
talking about their animals. And we
Yeah.
really value correct, authentic information, correct, mostly correct
Yeah.
information.
Kind of
So,
kind of important.
yeah. So, and I'm not throwing shade at any other. It's just we're very picky because it's so important to know what you've got.
Yeah.
And we see a
Yeah.
lot of misinformation. And we see a
Mm.
lot of things that maybe don't sit right with us. So
Hmm.
that's why when we ran into you, we were like, "Oh my gosh, this Reptile Adventures is awesome! Like they really have it together." And you
Appreciate
guys,
it.
your information's correct. You really know what you're talking about, and we really valued that. So that's why we were like, we gotta meet these people and start working with them.
I appreciate
Um,
that. That means a lot.
for instance, we had to help, and I won't say obviously, I'm very neutral. I love everybody. I want to help everybody, especially in this hobby, because it is so important. Each species is so specific, and you really have to know what you've got.
Hmm.
But we were somewhere and we were watching a presentation, and during it, they were giving some misinformation about a boa imperator, which was being classified as a true red tail. And just the information was wrong.
Hmm.
And so, we kind of tried to help, and we were not greeted with positivity,
Yeah.
or because there's been a few times we've made hiccups and we've had to
Yeah.
go back and correct ourselves. It's a
Yeah.
learning process,
Yeah. We're always learning. Yeah.
always learning. And what I've been keeping for 15 years, Paul, and what I knew then isn't
Oh man.
it's not appropriate. I mean, nowadays, if I would keep my animals like I did then, I'd be
Right.
considered abusive,
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I'm
which
like,
blows
how
my
did I even?
mind
Yeah.
because I'd never purposely hurt an animal,
Right. Right.
ever. But keeping an iguana in a little tub feeding it iceberg lettuce. That's what you knew to do
Yeah.
when I was
Crazy.
16. So,
Right.
and the thing of it is having the initiative to evolve information,
Hmm.
keeping, education. That is really what we value most in this hobby. And we see a lot of breeders, a lot of educators, a lot of hobbyists who are evolving with the hobby. And it just makes us, because we see a lot of crap. We're rehabbers, so
Yeah. Yeah.
we're a nonprofit, we're an animal shelter, so we get the leftovers of
Mm.
really bad situations. So when we
Yeah.
get to work with people who are just good at what they do and they're honest and they're ethical, it makes us
Hmm.
really excited,
Yeah.
because you can lose your passion really easily,
Yeah.
and you can lose your motivation, you know to stay in this hobby.
Hmm.
With that being said, where do you see your organization in 5 to 10 years? Are you guys gonna just keep getting bigger? Are you going like a snake adventure size, or are you guys just kind of coasting right now to see what's next?
That is a really good question. We're kind of at that point to need to plan, and because yeah, it's kind of one of those. It's taking off more than we ever thought it could or would.
For sure.
And it's like, okay, now what do we, what are we gonna do? And what's the future for us? What do we want? Like, part of me is like, do I want to get big? I don't know what that even means or looks like, but uh, at the very least, we do have a couple local employees, that teens that come help clean and stuff, because throughout the week, when we're not doing events, there's a lot of animal care. So definitely it's helpful to have that. But yeah, we're
For
looking
sure.
for potentially expanding our performer team, because really it's just me, who does all the presentations, and we're getting, like I said, booking on top of booking. I'll do like 3 birthday parties in a day sometimes. It's like, okay,
Yeah.
it's a lot.
It's a lot of
So
work.
yeah, and just because we pour everything into it, and it's,
Yeah.
you're presenting and you let people handle stuff, and then you got to do it all over again. It's like, whoa. So I'm like, if we can train up some people, and we have volunteers that help us, that love doing it, love what we do. So there's definitely an interest. So looking to, yeah, expand the team a little bit, and kind of go from there, help some others
Yeah.
um, jump in and fulfill their passion for reptiles and
Yeah.
education. So to, yeah, kind of spearhead that. We're kind of feel like a little bit like pioneers, because yeah, there's not a bunch of
Yeah.
us that do this. It's not like a
Yeah.
career you
Yeah.
can just say that this is how you
We
do
can
it.
relate. Yeah,
Yeah.
we can relate. And with the education program, if you guys ever need any help in this area, let me know, because
Okay. Yeah.
we've got that nonprofit over us, and we can do volunteers and things like that, and helping a local organization. You just let me know, because we're willing to
Okay.
help any way that we can too.
Okay. Awesome. Yeah. For
So with
sure.
that being said, you're going to grow your educational program. What about like a zoo? I know you're married to a zoologist. Like, is that in your future coming up? Because we're really just like curious about where you're going, because we're really excited about it.
Yeah. Thank you. We get that question a lot as well. Some people are like, you should, because they're always like, do you have a place where we can come and see everything?
Yeah.
I'm like, it's not a public facility, but every once in a while, friends and family or whatever will come
Sure.
by, and they're like, this
Yeah.
is better. This is better than the zoo, because we have about 200 reptiles,
Right.
and again, a lot of very uncommon, rare ones that you'll never see, much less get to get hands on with.
Right.
So that's definitely a thought. There's a lot that goes with that, as a lot of overhead, and
Yes.
just all the whatever,
Yeah.
permits, licensing, and making it all legal and all that for everybody to be
For sure.
safe, and all that. So there's a lot to think about. So we're like, all right, for now, we're a mobile zoo. We'll come to you,
Yeah.
but as we build something to save up for, and look forward to, yeah, to expand. I think that's a potential future idea. And then also, people ask if we have a reptile shop or whatever, that they can come and look and browse or whatever, since we sell reptiles. So that might be a thing too. not a
Mhm.
pet store, I guess, more of a reptile shop, but we might
For
have different
sure.
exotics in there.
It would be
But
cool to have like that in the front and then the zoo kind of towards the back, kind of
could be,
like,
yeah, could be
you know
a
what I
multi,
mean?
yeah, it could be a multi-purpose
For
thing
sure. We
there.
don't have anything really like, and while we're on this real quick,
Yeah.
not to deter us or digress, but
hmm
just so the viewers know, where are you located?
Hocking Hills area. Um, Laurelville is the little tiny town. Here,
Yeah.
just a little south of, about an hour southeast of Columbus,
Which is in Ohio,
Ohio.
Columbus,
Yeah.
Ohio. Because
hmm
we have people all over, Chris is different time zones. So
Yeah.
This is Texas.
I think Chris is Texas. I can't
Yeah.
remember. But that way, if there are people watching who are looking for something like what you do,
Yeah.
they're able to kind of get a hold of you for something like that.
Yeah.
I think a zoo would be pretty cool. You're
Yeah.
not far from us at all. So,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
I want to kind of stay on topic here. So these are just questions I wrote down because I was like, I'd really like to just, these are questions I'd like to ask everybody in the hobby, but we get what we
Yeah.
get. And everybody has a different answer, by the way. Like I hear like what you were saying about your rat snake. I've asked several people this, and some people it's like our friend Pat. He's all about
Oh,
boas.
no,
Mhm.
yeah.
Boas are his thing. He loves boas. So when you
Yeah.
hear him talk about that, it's just so cool to hear the different perspectives of people
Yeah.
who
Yeah.
work with these animals.
hmm
So if you could change one thing about the hobby, what would it be and why?
Oh, man.
Oh, you're always good at coming up with questions.
Change one thing about the hobby. Um, Probably the educational aspect
Yeah.
that, because, there's a lot of reptile expos. We started at reptile expos. It's getting a little more that way, but um, somehow make the educational part a part of even reptile expos. I know people come there, they kind of know what they're looking for in general, but
For sure.
in our experience, kind of get into the educational side and just being in it for a few years on the selling end at expos. There's a lot of families that'll just come for the first time and they just want to like look and hold stuff. And I know the other vendors, and I've been guilty at certain times of they're just like, oh man, they're just a bunch of lookers. They don't want to buy anything. You get kind of frustrated because you're kind of paying to be there. You buy tables or whatever, and so they don't really see the value of the educational
Yeah.
part. Like you never know, they could buy a reptile if you interacted with them and kind of spent the time maybe letting them hold a ball python, pet one or something, and then
It's
they
such
could
a
be like,
new it's such a new thing too.
yeah,
The hobby's growing more and more every day.
yeah,
It's such
exactly,
a new thing that it's likely that these people you're seeing the beginning stages of reptile enthusiasts,
uh-huh,
and the more we educate, the more people are going to be like, oh yes, this is what I want, and then
yeah,
that brings more business to the breeders.
yeah. It all just kind of makes a full circle there. I mean, we kind of it's pretty cool that we do sell reptiles because we do events and people are like, man, I might want a ball python now. We're like, well, we can sell you one too. We just kind of
Right, yeah.
capitalize on that. It works out pretty good sometimes with
Do
that.
you guys have like let's say somebody does purchase from you, do you have like protocol with those people? Like do you help them with husbandry and all that kind of stuff, like
Yeah,
helping them understand the keeping methods of the animals that you sell?
yeah, absolutely. I mean, obviously a conversation up front, just kind of gauging where they're at, what they know, and helping them with the setup. I mean, I'm on my phone, all day, every day, talking reptiles. We're connected. I've connections from years back that still have reptiles, and they'll still send me pictures like still doing well, and
Yeah.
and people that got it a few months ago, and they're they'll ask a question, hey, this happened, why is it doing this, and just kind of helping them, walking them through all the different things. It's hard to say all of that right up front because the different
Right.
you can't think of it all right up front, but you kind of give
For
them a
sure.
general General
even
setup.
giving them that place to, like, we just had somebody message us yesterday. They had adopted a corn snake from us. And at first we got kind of scared because we dealt with inclusion body disease.
Oh wow.
So we had a U-Haul wreck in the area. They were infested with dirty mites, and
That's
all of them had inclusion,
huh.
which has kind of traumatized us. So
Nice.
anytime we see like twitching or anything, we're like, oh, it's probably inclusion, But one of our adopters, they sent us a video of their corn snake kind of doing something weird.
Hmm.
So immediately we were like, oh my gosh. But
Hmm.
it's their mating season.
Oh,
So
okay. Yeah.
it's kind of like it was normal, but at first we were but had we not given them that outlet for them to communicate with us, they'd be
Mm-hmm.
on their own trying to figure
Yeah.
that out.
Yeah.
And we have so many connections to people, and we just know what to look for when we're researching. And so we
Mm-hmm.
were able to figure out really quickly like what was going on there and answer them back and put their mind at ease.
Yeah.
So I love that open line of communication with your customers, because at the end of the day, it starts with us, where they're getting the animals from.
Yeah. Yeah.
The keepers are second in line, the producers are first in line, and it's all
Mm.
about you know, supporting each other. I hate this gatekeeping that goes on in this hobby,
Yeah.
making it really difficult for people to put themselves out there and try to find information.
Yeah.
It's one of my biggest pet peeves because we're all gonna mess up.
Yeah.
I've messed up. I still
Mm.
mess up sometimes.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so having an opportunity to share with people, there's no fear. Um, no judgment. We're all in this together. I love that community aspect of it, where
Yeah.
even new keepers feel comfortable to be like, hey, I feel like something's wrong, I need your help.
Yeah.
And you're
Yeah.
there to kind of guide them, um
Exactly.
to
The
that.
bearded dragon community is the worst.
The bearded dragon community is the worst in my opinion.
They're so mean.
They're mean, yeah.
And they're very
which I get.
I get it.
But at the same time, it's like, give people grace because they're new here
Yeah.
too.
Like, I'm in some groups just to kind of like keep an eye on,
Mm-hmm.
and someone will post for advice about something and they're just getting bashed over and over and over.
For sure. And it's like they're here for help. Like,
Yeah.
I'm sure you once needed help.
Yeah, they're
Yeah.
asking for help, and then you guys are just like, everything is wrong, you're doing everything wrong.
And the
it's
funny
so
thing
mean.
is, we just talked about this, Paul and I, before. Ernesto, get down. He is very excited to see Haley. The funny thing is in 10 years from now, like what we just talked about,
Yeah.
Paul, everything's going to be different anyway.
Yeah.
So those people on here being so critical and mean, they'll have to realize that they've messed up in their lives. So,
Yeah.
so my next question for you is, what was your biggest inspiration? Like, who was your biggest inspiration looking back? Was there a person in your life, or maybe it was a famous person or a TV show or something that really inspired you to kind of go in this direction?
Yeah. Yeah. Obviously, growing up watching all the nature shows, National Geographic, David Attenborough,
Yeah.
whatever. Just eating all that up. But as far as like a big inspiration, his name is Rick Tepin. He's in Kentucky, at the Creation Museum there. He does a program called Snakes Alive. So it's a
Oh, we've seen that.
have
Yeah.
you? Yeah.
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 So yeah, he's awesome. So like I said, when I kind of got away from reptiles, I thought I grew out of it. I went to that museum, saw his show, and like you were saying, as a girl when you're young, picking up worms and stuff, even like reptiles in general has kind of a connotation of like you kind of feel like you're kind of weird because you like reptiles.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So I remember thinking that way, and then snakes in particular, got the evil thing, um, and so I'm like, yeah, I can't really, be too proud of that. I don't know. It was
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
like,
I know exactly what you're saying.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's all in my subconscious. I didn't realize really too much, and then saw his show, and he's there, talking about these are God's creation, and these are so beautiful, and just
Yeah.
like completely redeemed them in my mind as I'm sitting there, like, you know what they are, like just kind of like, yeah, these are amazing creatures. Like
Yeah.
they have some bad reputations for, it's all media and all this, bad information out
For
there.
sure.
And so I'm like, you know what? So it kind of just inspired me. And I started almost modeling my presentations kind of after
Wow.
what he does a little bit, just because I didn't have anything else to go off of. And we've since kind of
Right.
made our own show. But yeah, so he was definitely a huge inspiration.
Yeah.
I was just like, he does it for a living too. I'm like, this is actually possible. I didn't even
Yeah.
realize it could be. And then, like I said, all I knew back as a kid was herpetology. There
Yeah.
wasn't like, you wouldn't, as a kid sitting there, I'm going to be go around doing birthday parties. I didn't know that was a
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
So, and now that we do that, it's like, again, we inspire
For
kids all the
sure.
time. There's kids that have told us, like, how do I grow up and do what you do? I'm just
Yeah.
like so humbled by that. I'm like, really? Like, wow.
Yeah. It's an
That's
inspiration.
yeah, that we're doing something right, I guess, doing
For
something
sure.
of
And
worth.
you realize too, like especially with children, that fear is a learned
Yeah,
thing
I've never
because
learned
these
it.
kids aren't ever scared. Some of them are a little, but I think it's like more
Yeah,
of an attention thing.
Mhm.
But
yeah.
children are so open-minded to that sort of
Hmm.
thing because they haven't been programmed to believe that it's evil or whatever.
Yeah,
um so it's almost like, yeah, it inspires you to have a passion to change people's minds about something that you love.
yeah.
My last question, because we usually go about 45 minutes, and this is probably my favorite question, and I saved it till the end.
Okay.
um if you what is one thing that you would tell new hobbyists, new keepers, new enthusiasts coming into this hobby? They don't know anything, but they're so intrigued and curious. What is one piece of advice that you wish you would have had, or that you would tell new keepers from your perspective?
Um, that there is a lot to learn. Yes, they are very intriguing, amazing creatures, and because some people just they see it, they're wowed by it, and then they kind of interact with a really docile one. They're like, I can do this, I can have one, I want one. And I'm like, hold on, there's a lot to learn about them. They all have their own personalities.
Mhm.
um, so definitely just kind of I guess back them up or pause them for a second, just to think about everything and realize there's a lot to these animals. They are very unique in their care, and every one has their own unique care requirements, and so there's a lot of responsibility. Even, I mean, I guess with dogs and cats, people say that a lot too, but there's more. I feel like naturally known about those because you kind of grow up with
Yeah.
those people. People do. They kind of know how to interact and how to generally care for them, but reptiles are so different. So yeah, just kind of trying to save you and the rescue people, like the trouble of having to, not the trouble, but to
Yeah,
have to deal
it's the
with.
trickle down system. It's from the
Yeah.
breeder to the keeper to us. So
So yeah, just kind of almost like not turn them away from it, but just help them to see this is a very sober minded kind of thing to take on.
for
This is
sure.
a little life, and
Yes.
it's not just a cool thing to show your friends, because you could almost read people sometimes when they want to buy something. They're like, ooh, I can have a snake and python and
Uh-huh.
show my friends.
Yes.
so so
Yes. We got on that very topic, we got a surrender.
mhm.
And not to throw anybody under the bus, but this poor girl, she's like, I thought it was a ball python. And we were like, where did the wires get crossed with that? Because it sort of feels like that should never have happened.
And it was a reticulated python.
It was a mainland retic,
Oh gosh.
and it was quite large.
Yeah.
So
Yikes.
we were like, it was still a juvenile. Oh, look at the kitty cat.
Baby.
I know. I have a bunch right now who are.
Oh, look, she's coming over.
Moochie, you're not even supposed to be up on the couch.
She's like, were you talking to me?
My animals know that I'm busy. And I have one spot in the in the house that I don't let them on, and that is my couch because guests sit here. So get down, down. And they know when they can get up here and just because they know I'm busy. So animals are so smart.
I know. I
But yeah,
know.
she dropped off that reticulated python, and it's like, obviously it's not a ball python, and I'm like, yeah,
Yikes.
obviously.
Like, I just want to know
Yikes.
who sold her that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's what it comes down to.
Look
Like,
at
who
her.
sold
She's running
her
from it.
that snake with very little information?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, and we've seen that so many times.
Yeah.
So many times.
They just want to make it. I feel like a lot of people just want to make a sale.
Yeah.
Oh my
And
gosh.
like
Yeah.
with our animals, we pretty much were like some of them gatekeeping.
Oh, we
Yeah.
gatekeep our animals.
Yeah.
We have to.
Mhm.
Because we are a rescue.
Yeah.
So it's important for us to make sure these animals already came from a bad situation. We don't want
Right.
to turn around and put them back into a bad situation. So it's
Exactly.
different for us. Like we have to gatekeep because once an animal recovers from like our ball pythons, a lot of them come to us with respiratory infections and really
Mhm.
bad things wrong.
Mhm.
You know, they've had swollen cloacas. They've been impacted, all kinds of stuff. So
Yeah.
once your animal's sick like that, it's easier for them. They're more susceptible to getting it again.
Yeah.
So we do kind of have to gate one animal. It was Tito.
Oh.
He messed up his mouth really bad, and he could never
Mm.
have substrate again because it would mess up. He gets it in his mouth, and it was just not a good situation.
Bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was in bad shape when we got him. Horrible mouth injury, was just bleeding,
Mouth
bad mouth rot. Just it messed his whole mouth up forever.
Look at.
So I love that the cat is like, I'm here. So is mine.
Is it whack? Oh, it's whacking. It's giving love taps.
You got a call too. I kept getting phone calls, so I had to turn my phone on.
You just got smacked.
Oh, that's great. Well, Paul, I just want to thank you for coming in too today
Yeah,
and
thanks for having
talking with us. I'm super excited that we got to finally meet. I know we've been corresponding via text
Mhm.
about Jungle Jam. Real quick before we, close up, because we have a few minutes left here. Jungle Jam has been going on for about 3 years.
Okay.
We started Jungle Jam in 2022.
Yeah.
We started Jungle Jam in 2022. We saw an amazing turnout from our community. Everybody's curious about reptiles.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we were like, this is really great. I think we had 1,500 people come to our expo.
Wow.
In that very first expo, we had
That's awesome.
1,500 heads come through the door. It was.
Amazing.
So we're really trying to expand this expo and make it as big as we can.
Okay.
Every year we rent the Junior Fair building in our area. It's a pretty large building, but we're hoping to even grow out of that and make this a big, big show. We will see quite a bit of people show up. I mean, people do love the Jungle Jams.
Awesome.
We're going to have vendors from all over. Obviously, you'll be doing a show. If you want to, we have you set up as a vendor, but we have a stage as well.
Yeah.
And I'd love for you to pass things out and get that word out that that's what
Yeah.
you do in our area, because
Absolutely.
we can't do them all either. We both have full-time jobs and kids and all the things. So if
Yeah.
you wanted to bring business cards, brochures, whatever you've got, this is free advertisement. Take it because people book the shows. They want to book the shows.
Awesome.
So, another thing we do bounce houses, we do some live music, we do have a DJ, and we're gonna have some food trucks and all that stuff. It's a really cool show. If anyone watching is interested in coming, it is located in Marietta, Ohio, and Paul
Okay.
is gonna be doing a show for us there too. Hopefully we'll get to see Cruella in person.
I'm so excited.
Absolutely.
So yeah, so anything that you'd like to add before we close up?
Just yeah, definitely great to meet you, and thank you so much for the opportunity here. Yeah, we're just going strong here, and looking forward to the future of what we do. You never know.
Yeah.
The sky's the limit, so we're not putting any limits on it. Just
Yeah.
open to whatever comes. So
Well, I believe that we create our own reality. So whatever you want for your
yeah,
life, I truly believe we are creators and we get what we
yeah.
manifest. So you just keep manifesting it for yourself. And we're here to help. Like I said, anything that you need.
Thank you.
We're
Yeah,
what, an hour and a half away, I think.
yeah, something like that.
Right?
Sounds
Yeah,
right.
it's
I remember looking it up.
Maybe not even. So we're literally neighbors and we can help any way that you need. We know a lot of people willing to volunteer. There's no reason why we can't, work together and try to make this hobby a better place for everybody. So
Mm-hmm.
it was great to meet you.
You as well.
Thank you for stopping in and we will see you in May.
I'm
All right.
excited.
Sounds
All
good.
right. Awesome. See ya. Thanks,
See ya.
Chris.